From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron. That was just, I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay, a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, there. If you just take them that place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Time to rise and grind on the early line for a Thursday morning. And yes, we have preseason action tonight in a doubleheader. Yes, we have Major League Baseball action tonight that you can sink your teeth into as we wait. You wake up tomorrow, it's a Friday. Love it. It'll be a football Friday. You wake up Saturday, you have college football week 0 kicking off, and you don't have to wait long. At noon, we'll be kicking off in a top 25 game to start the NCAA season. It's a great time. The energy will be high. It's the SportsGrid Network. Joe Ranieri, Donnie Rightside. Our goal is always set the table for you for the day to understand what you need to know and also what's coming up in the not-so-distant future, which is college football. I'm excited for today's show, Joe. We got great topics to kick it off with.
I can't wait, Donnie. Football NFL
beautiful.
Football is almost here. For real, but college football, get ready. I cannot wait for this weekend.
Yep, we're ready to go. The action is on the table. Week 3, sometimes a little bit boring in preseason. You'll see it tonight. We'll talk about one team playing starters, the other team not playing starters, violent line swings in that market movements. We'll see if it pays off or if those markets have swung just a little bit too far. Let's get to the 7 and 7, the hottest topics across that sports landscape, Joe. But before we get to that first topic here, the NFL doubleheader tonight, big news broke last night. And it's something that happened in 2024. The report was a bullet was fired into the office of the Chiefs' Andy Reid. Check this out, Joe. A bullet penetrated the glass in the practice facility office of Andy Reid while the Chiefs coach was working alone last year, the Kansas City Star reported. Reid was unharmed, but according to the report, the shot was fired from outside the Chiefs facility in Kansas City, went through the glass of Reid's office and lodged into a wall about 15 feet where he was sitting shortly after midnight. My question is, what a crazy story. And number 2, how did this not leak out? A coach almost took a bullet in his practice facility in the offseason, Joe.
Well, let that be a lesson to everybody. Wow. You didn't know about this, Donnie, because the NFL didn't want you to know about this. The NFL's good like that. They have a real interesting way of keeping things under wraps. But it wasn't just one bullet, by the way. It was 3 bullets ended up hitting that building that night. Incredible. He was on the 2nd floor. One lands 15 feet from where Andy Reid's desk was, where he was sitting, and a couple of others ended up going through the office below and then into an air-conditioned vent. And how none of this came to light is beyond me. But I'll tell you this, they added a whole lot of security at that building after this incident in 2024, apparently, Donnie.
Like you might be able to say like during the day in hunting season, if you're in like the middle of nowhere and that's where the Chiefs practice facility is, hey, stray bullet comes through. But an off-season night, 3 bullets hit in the middle of the night. Somebody's just taking target practice at the Chiefs facility looking for somebody who had the lights on. It's a wild story that broke late last night. I thought we wanted to bring that up. We'll have a little bit more later in the show on that as well.
Either,
Let's keep
nobody arrested.
Nobody like it's and again, to keep that under wraps for a year when that should like lead SportsCenter, lead our show, lead every show in the country. The minute that it happens, you want to dig below. It's crazy how they were to keep that certainly under wraps here. But we do have a doubleheader in the NFL tonight, Joe. And as I said, violent line swings are happening. Pittsburgh and Carolina, New England and the New York Giants. Starters for Pittsburgh will play outside of a couple key ones there, which includes Aaron Rodgers. And then also for the New England Patriots, not looking to play their starters. Heavy favorites for the Giants, and then a favorite here for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 4.5 on the road.
Yeah, I mean, New England opened up a 2.5-point favorite, and then, boy, that went out the window. Now the Giants almost a touchdown. And the Steelers have been getting nothing but money as well here against the Panthers. No Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to see anything there, but I do think it's going to be interesting with the Giants here tonight because still got some questions. I mean, listen, Russ and company, we know Russ is starting the season, but there's still a pretty interesting battle with the quarterbacks behind him. We know Jackson Dart, and then, of course, Jameis Winston. Could this be an audition, maybe, for another team here?
Yeah, I like it. These two games should be interesting, and I am looking to see that quarterback situation for the New York Giants and how it unfolds tonight in the preseason. Should be a good one on both ends, but this is the last week of the NFL preseason, week number 3, before everything gets a little bit clearer in the picture of who's going to be the starting quarterback and which guys will be finalized on the rosters. How about guys that are not finalized right now on the rosters? That includes the Cincinnati Bengals, and how about this? Maybe the Vegas Raiders. It looks like Trey Hendrickson could be on the move, and the rumors coming up that the Raiders could be first in line for his services. I see that and I say you always want to add good football players, but the Raiders, I don't know what your plan is. You traded for Geno Smith, an aging veteran. This guy's 30, Hendrickson. So by the time you think you can make a run, he's going to be outside of his prime. It's always nice to add good players because it helps your team. No idea why the Raiders would be pursuing Trey Hendrickson, but here's the story.
Well, it'd be a hell of a combo there, huh? Max Crosby on one side, Hendrickson on the other. Good luck. Yep. Yeah, good luck, quarterbacks. But the reality is, what are you doing, Bengal? Here we are again. We're still at this point where you haven't realized that, the hardest things to find are quarterbacks and guys who can get to the quarterback. So when you have a dude who can get to the quarterback, you pay the guy. And the problem is he's making $18 million this year. So the amount of teams that have that kind of cap room that can actually do something for him, well, it's limited. So his best bet is to stay right where he is with Joe Burrow and company in Cincinnati.
Exactly. Enough of the charade right now. Get the guy paid. Get him in camp. Don't trade him out of town. Doesn't help you this year. And certainly the Cincinnati Bengals' fortunes could change with a really good pass rusher on your roster. We'll see what happens with Trey Hendrickson. Also, the Cincinnati Bengals getting some bad information on the offensive line. That's the injury information. Guard Cordell Volson likely to miss the season here. A guy that started a lot of games in his NFL career. Not great when you try to protect the franchise.
No, this was the problem with Joe Burrow and the Bengals has been protecting Joe Burrow and the Bengals, right? And their offensive line has been just awful, but they really did. This guy has played started 48 of 50 games at left guard. He added depth to this offensive line. And now, of course, that depth is gone. The experience is gone. That's a problem for the Cincinnati Bengals again.
I'll tell you what's a problem for the 49ers. Can anybody stay on that roster as a wide receiver, healthy and or suspensions? My goodness, Demarcus Robinson's going to be suspended the first 3 games. So they made a move, talking about the 49ers, to bring in some extra help, and they asked Kansas City for that extra help. So Robinson down 3 games. Don't drink and drive, kids. Don't do it.
It's just kind of ridiculous. I mean, misdemeanor DUI charge back in November. He was sentenced to 36 months of probation, but this was a guy last year, Donnie, that really was pretty good with the Rams, was he not? I mean, I think he was the leader. He scored a bunch of touchdowns, and this was supposed to help solidify this wide receiving crew who is, we know, probably won't be fully healthy and on the field for the 49ers for at least a month into the season. And now, of course, the guy that you were hoping could stem that tide is now going to miss the first 3 games as well. So not good for the 49ers. Good thing their schedule is as weak as it is, Donnie.
Yeah, a lot of questions for those Niners heading into the season. I mean, they see it's those health concerns here. Take a look at the Philadelphia Phillies. Kyle Schwarber hits his 45th bomb of the season yesterday as the Mariners, man, just got erased in Philadelphia.
Well, listen, the way Ohtani played last night, and the way maybe Schwarber a dark horse for the MVP. Just saying.
How about that? Yeah, Pirates call up their number one pitching prospect, Bubba Chandler, and also UCLA football names their starting quarterback, Luke Duncan. Never heard of the guy? Probably won't hear too much from UCLA this year either, Joe. How about that?
Well, the interesting part is, didn't the kid from Tennessee leave Tennessee to go to UCLA?
Yeah,
and
what's that
he's
about?
not even the starting quarterback, and he's making trillions of dollars in NIL money. And by the way, as many great pitchers as Pittsburgh has, let's see him, because we all want to know who's wearing a Yankees uniform in a few years.
Absolutely, people. We're just getting started on the early line. Make sure you keep the dial right here. We'll be back after this short break.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Right back, hour number one on the early line. Hot topic certainly flying. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri's like to say, it's time to get paid. Get the M-O-N-E-Y. You know who got it yesterday? The Bears backup quarterback Tyson Bagent, a $10 million contract extension. He's feeling good about this, and we got some video from the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of people don't know this, but, my dad is he's my right-hand man, and he didn't even have running water until he was in high school. So there's definitely a lot of things and people that I think I could certainly help with this gift I've been blessed with. But yeah, just little things like that. Like, I don't really know anybody back at home with any money. So, yeah, it feels good. I mean, it's certainly a weight off my shoulders and my family's shoulders. And yeah, it definitely means a lot.
There you go. Emotional right there. You love to see it. Taking care of the family. Can buy his dad a couple bottles of water now with that $10 million, Joe.
I mean, listen, the good news is congratulations, you $10 million. Bad news is, well, I guarantee you everybody home knows who has money now, and there are going to be a lot of people calling you, my friend. But what a great story. You got to love it. I mean, from, absolutely nowhere, wins his first start, I think, as a Bears quarterback, which they haven't done that in a million years. So this kid is good for him. Great guy. And his father, by the way, 17-time world champion arm wrestler. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy about that? You're crazy is the right word on that. Like the kids used to come over like, I'm going to arm wrestle your dad, or is that how you get that arm strength? Because I do remember the stories when he was coming into the NFL draft, like, coming from a smaller school, interesting background at this point, and also understanding this. Like, backup quarterback situations are key, but he's been playing really well as a backup. That's a lot of money for a kid that you probably don't even think he's going to see the field for you, but that's an investment that you make in him. And also, if Caleb is really good, you know what you do, Joe? That's a second-round pick you can flip in 2 to 3 years, and you just paid a couple dollars to keep him around and invest in it. That's a good move for the Bears. And if you do see his struggles with Caleb Williams, he can really step into the fold and do some damage. I've liked what I've seen out of this kid, like Tanner McKee in Philadelphia. You're going to pay those backup quarterbacks to stick around because they're investments in trade pieces if things don't go correctly here, or correctly, as I say, your quarterback is good, you move him to another team. I like that.
And listen, they added, don't forget, Case Keenum, right, to that room in the offseason, another veteran presence. And yet, he got the contract now with the team, and he held on to that number 2 quarterback spot all throughout training camp. So, I mean, much deserved. It could have folded, and Case Keenum could have been the number 2, but he's holding on to it. So kudos to him.
Beige it. Getting paid some money here, taking care of the family. You love to see that. I'll tell you what you don't like to see is injuries here before we even get to week number 1. The Atlanta Falcons look to be on the ascension this year, maybe tangling with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win that division. Adam Schefter tweeted out yesterday, Falcons offensive tackle Storm Norton underwent ankle surgery Tuesday, is now expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. He wasn't expected to be a starter, but that's a depth piece. And then offensive tackle Caleb McGarry was carted off with a leg injury that necessitated an MRI. You can't get nicked up on the offensive line before the season starts, Joe. That's disaster waiting to happen.
Well, especially with another, your young quarterback, which you threw to the Wolves last year in Penix Jr. And now all of a sudden you've got 2 of the guys that you have paid in order to protect him. And now all of a sudden you're mixing and matching in the 3rd preseason game heading into game 1. That's not a good situation at all for Atlanta.
No, it's not. You take a look at those odds there in the NFC South, which you think it's going to be up for grabs, but the Buccaneers are the better team. I do think the Falcons can give them a run for the money because we'll see what we get out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. But if you're going to be damaged on the offensive line when you have a young quarterback that's just trying to go through his progressions and mature as a quarterback in the NFL, you know what hurts him the worst? Yeah, when nobody can block and he has to go one read and can't even get to his 3rd progression before he's running for his life. And Michael Penix, you don't want him running for his life here. That dude's had a lot of knee injuries over the past couple years, Joe, but the Falcons still sit there as a plus 210 price to win that NFC South.
Yeah, and the big question, of course, Kirk Cousins, what are they going to do with him? If anything, will somebody make a play? That's a pretty valuable backup quarterback, I think, for Atlanta here. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly where that goes. And listen, what happens if Penix Jr., they're the favorite, Donnie, you just said. So what happens if Penix Jr. struggles right out of the gate? And now all of a sudden you've got, another new coach here, 2nd year. What happens? Do you pull the trigger for Kirk Cousins early in the season, or are you just, for better or for worse, dedicated to the, Penix Jr. out of the gate?
Yeah, dedicated to maybe Raheem Morris being out of a job at the end of the year because this isn't starting off so well for the Atlanta Falcons, and the expectations are much higher, of course, than what they were last year, what we figured midway through the year last year for the Falcons. Adam Schefter tweeted out yesterday there was a slew of trades across the NFL. How about the Chiefs trading Sky Moore for a 7th-round pick to the 49ers in exchange for a 6th? That means that Sky Moore is going out there because they're so damaged at wide receiver. They just need bodies. An interesting one for me was Devon Vele, who's a good wide receiver for the Broncos. He's been shipped to the Saints for a 4th and a 7th, and then Harrison Phillips, a trade there for the Vikings, and also the Browns trade Juwan Briggs. But those first 2 wide receivers are on the move. Sky Moore just never panned out in Kansas City, but Devon Vele was a decent part of that Broncos offense. I guess Sean Payton getting a little bit unhappy with his services and shipped them to the Saints.
Yeah, well, let's face it. 49ers, anybody healthy enough to catch the ball right now is probably going to get a contract offer. Yeah. And you're playing because they don't have anybody else either healthy enough or available enough now to start the season. So a good trade for the 49ers. Sky Moore will slide right in there and be good to go. I thought the Jets made a couple of very interesting moves to bolster the defensive line yesterday. To try to give Quinnen Williams, I don't know, some depth there and some other guys that can come in there and help that defensive line who just got gashed by the Giants in that last preseason game. So much so, they had to hold a private players meeting without the coaches. And we're not even in the 3rd preseason game. We're holding players meetings. My goodness.
Kick the coaches out. Yeah, you're right about that. And by the way, the reason why some of these trades do go down is the teams identify who's probably going to be on the roster and who's not. So he said, well, why would they trade Sky Moore and a 7th to the 49ers for a 6th? Because they probably were going to cut Sky Moore once the final cuts came out. Same thing with Devon Vele. Let me get something for the guy. He's talented. And he said, I don't want him on my roster. Let's make a move and get some compensation back. More hot topics next, which includes a doubleheader on Thursday Night Football. Mets are a game and a half up in the wild card race from the Cincinnati Reds. But the Cincinnati Reds are 16 to 1, Joe. 60 to 1 to win the pennant here. But I do find myself looking at the New York Mets saying, there's too much talent on that team. And we know how things work out, even with the Philadelphia Phillies in the playoffs last year. Hey, we're a good baseball team. Mets get hot at the end of the year. Mets knock the Phillies out of the playoffs. We've seen that happen before.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Jalen Lane, 4th-round receiver from Virginia Tech, who's a dynamic slot receiver. Run after the catch. He's had a phenomenal camp. Really great offseason. He is really gifted. And obviously with McLaurin not practicing, he's getting a lot more of a look. Right. Now, the problem is, without McLaurin, they're not very deep at the outside receiver position. But Jalen Lane is a stud talent. I'm telling you, this kid should have gone higher.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
He's going to regress a little potentially in touchdowns, but his role's not going to change. There's no other superstar on this team besides Josh Allen. So to me, James Cook, they need James Cook if the Buffalo Bills are going to repeat in that division again. They need him to be that guy in the offense because there isn't another star around Josh Allen. So James Cook is as close as it gets. I'm sorry, it's not Khalil Shakir. It doesn't look like it's ever going to be Keon Coleman or Dalton Kincaid.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
You remember the song, Joe Ranieri? Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party. Those were the good old days. You know, was it Frank, Al, and Dan back in the studio days? I mean, I used to get Monday Night Football kicking off and rocking and rolling. Now, tonight, it's not Monday Night Football, but it is Thursday Night Football. It is primetime action. 2 games on, 1 game at 7 o'clock, 1 game at 8 o'clock. You get to see some of those rookies here, and a last-chance effort for some of these players to prove to their coaching staffs, Joe, that they are ready to go. Game number 1 tonight is Pittsburgh, and it is Carolina. Big line movements here. We take a look at a minus 3-point favorite for Carolina at the opening number. That's gone. 5.5s and 4.5s now across the betting landscape, and a total that's listed at 36.5. The reason, Joe Ranieri, that we have that line move is the Pittsburgh Steelers go, yeah, outside of 4 really key components, I'm playing my starters. And Carolina's going like, see you in the regular season. Let's let these starters rest.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Young won't be playing now. We know this. He played, he got his reps in the first couple of weeks. Andy Dalton ended up getting hurt, though, in that last game. So now we're down to what? Jack Plummer, I think. And, oh, yeah, they just signed Bryce Perkins to the team now. So we are, I don't know. We're getting 2 quarterbacks here now that, don't exactly move the needle at all, which I guess explains why we're getting the move that we have gotten here on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't see we're not going to see Rudolph either. Forget about Aaron Rodgers, which means what? We got Logan Woodside and Skylar Thompson, the former Miami Dolphin QB. Not going to be a lot on the defensive side of the ball for either of these teams. So this is truly a game about depth for both of these teams and figuring out who's going to make that roster and who's not.
Yeah, keeping it simple, too, because whenever you hear, it doesn't always go your direction. Hey, one team's going to play starters more than the other. Oh, that should be an easy victory. We know it doesn't play out like that because when they say we're playing starters, that means maybe 3 or 4 drives at a maximum in a game where you might have 15 drives. So things are going to even out in the second half, we understand. But if I'm a betting man, which I am, I would just look and say, well, I don't know if the Steelers can cover the 4.5, let's just say, or the 5.5 on a full game because there's way too many variables once you get into the second half. But if I'm going to play some of my starters and you're going to play none of your starters, I'm going to expect in that first quarter or first half to probably have the lead for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Expensive prices across the landscape, but like the minus 2.5, Joe, around that minus 150, minus 160 range. I could see the Steelers being up a field goal at the half if you are going to play your starters for a couple drives versus Carolina not doing that. That's the way I'd play it. But again, you're looking at the totals, which we've seen some pretty high totals in the preseason. This one's settling back in at 35.5, basically telling you we don't think there's going to be many points. Why? Because everybody's under the same mindset. Once that second half hits, let's just get out of here without any injuries and start our process towards the regular season.
Yeah, and we've seen actually already this preseason that, you get some of these road favorite teams that might have an edge early, Donnie, like you're talking about. Yeah, they've been very good in covering the first half numbers there. So, yeah, if you're expecting the Steelers to get out in front here because they got a few other things to work on with maybe a handful of starters in, yeah, then I would also look early and often for maybe Pittsburgh to cover that first half.
Yeah, we did take a look at those NFC South standings here. The Buccaneers at a plus 100 price, followed by the Falcons at a plus 210, Panthers plus 420, Saints at 13-1. Again, we're not going to find out a lot about the Panthers tonight as they're not playing a majority of their starters at all. Dave Canales says, I guess we're ready for the season. We'll see how Bryce Young does. If we flip it over to the AFC North odds, which, again, the Pittsburgh Steelers do play in the AFC North, the Ravens, of course, they're going to be the favorites at a minus 155. The Bengals at a plus 260 price, and the Steelers way back there at a 5-1 price with Aaron Rodgers, who's not going to play in that ball game tonight. And then the Browns, that is amazing. Like, look at, usually like the bad football teams, 12 or 13-1 to win the division, 35-1 to win the division for the Cleveland Browns. Oh my God. Just seeing those numbers sometimes is shocking.
Yeah, I think what are they trying to tell us something here, Don? Is they're not going to be a very good football team. No, none of us are expecting great things out of there. Although, good news is Shedeur Sanders back at practice here, so the oblique injury seems to be a thing of the past.
And let's see what happens, too, when you start to look at those schedules, particularly for the teams that, look, we understand the Steelers are probably going to have a good season. And good season, I mean fighting for a playoff spot, at least by the time we get to December. They're going to start off with the New York Jets in that first game. That's going to be a fun one to watch. But if we do flip it over quickly to the Panthers schedule, at the Jaguars, at the Cardinals, home to the Falcons right off the bat. If Dave Canales is really secure about what he likes in his football team, he better be right. You can't lose, you can't 0-3, 1-2 in those first 3 games here. That can't work for them.
And I don't think they will. I've already bet the win total over for Carolina this year. I think it's going to be a good one.
Wow. How about that? We're stepping into the ring here. We'll step into the next game, and that is the Giants and the Patriots next. Mets are a game and a half up in the wild card race from the Cincinnati Reds. But the Cincinnati Reds are 60, not 16 to 1, Joe, 60 to 1 to win the pennant here. But I do find myself looking at the New York Mets saying, there's too much talent on that team, and we know how things work out, even with the Philadelphia Phillies in the playoffs last year. Hey, we're a good baseball team. Mets get hot at the end of the year. Mets knock the Phillies out of the playoffs. We've seen that happen before.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Jalen Lane, fourth-round receiver from Virginia Tech, who's a dynamic slot receiver. Run after the catch. He's had a phenomenal camp. Really great offseason. He is really gifted, and obviously, with McLaurin not practicing, he's getting a lot more of a look.
Right.
Now, the problem is, without McLaurin, they're not very deep at the outside receiver position. But Jalen Lane is a stud talent. I'm telling you, this kid should have gone higher.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
He's going to regress a little potentially in touchdowns, but his role's not going to change. There's no other superstar on this team besides Josh Allen. So to me, James Cook, they need James Cook. If the Buffalo Bills are going to repeat in that division again, they need him to be that guy in the offense because there isn't another star around Josh Allen. So James Cook is as close as it gets. I'm sorry. It's not Khalil Shakir. It doesn't look like it's ever going to be Keon Coleman or Dalton Kincaid.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
It's all about the football, baby, right here on the Early Line. It is a Thursday, and we have a double-header coming up tonight. We just previewed the first game, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Carolina Panthers, which leads us into the New England Patriots and the New York Football Giants, week 3 of the preseason. And when we talk about violence, which football has a lot, violence, Joe, in the odds market for this game as well. A 3-point favorite at the opening number for the Patriots has swung all the way to a 6.5-point favorite. Oh, look at that. Patriots are favored by more. No, they're not. That's the Giants, people. That's favored by 6.5 now. A total at the opening number, 37.5. Still sitting at most marketplaces at 37.5. Some 38s are out there in the sports betting landscape, but that is a huge move. Why? New England, not expected to play starters. New York Giants looking to play some starters. It's as simple as that, Joe.
It really is. And, which means we've already seen what the quarterback room looks like for the Giants. And even if we don't get Russell Wilson for more than, a series or two, we know the guys that are backing him up have shown unbelievable moxie, including Jackson Dart, who to me has done nothing but prove to the Giants and the Giants fan base that the future looks bright at the quarterback position for you here. He's completed 74% of his passes this preseason, almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in just those 2 games. So, I mean, it's all clicking here for the Giants offensively. The Patriots, like you said, they're not going to be rolling a whole lot out here. Doesn't mean they're going to get pushed around with Vrabel and company. Feels like a big-time under, though, if you ask me. Feels like scoring maybe not at a premium in this game tonight.
Yeah, it's funny when you look at, how you get this information, because Vrabel, I don't think, came out directly and said we're not sitting the starters, but beat writers are pretty smart people and understand this. Like in hockey, Joe, is like the starting goalie leaves the ice early and then the backup just stays out there at practice because the starting goalie's got to rest up. Like, okay, that's going to be the starting goalie tonight. Well, the starters for the Patriots, or let's just say first on the depth chart, were getting extra running conditioning drills the other day, which leads us to believe they're probably not going to play in this preseason game, hence that violent line swing. But I think there is a really good talking point on Jackson Dart. There's 2 ways to understand how this is going to go for the New York Giants. If you're looking to develop your quarterback the right way, I guess, on a team for the Giants that's probably not going to win a lot of football games. What I mean by a lot is 7, 8, 9 games and fight for a playoff spot. But the fact of the matter is Jackson Dart has been really good. Russell Wilson is not your future. What happens if Jackson Dart plays tonight and plays extremely well again? Like, it's a great baseboard because you'd rather have your young quarterback, Joe, play extremely well than, yeah, we told you he was a rookie. This is going to take some time. He's Anthony Richardson part 2. He can't throw a pass more than 8 yards and complete it here. That's not Dart. 26 of 35, 291 passing yards, 25 or so rushing yards, 3 touchdowns with a passer rating of a 117.7. I really like what I see. And also, the vibes coming out of the Giants camp where you see the reports from the players like, hey, man, this kid's got the goods. This kid is a leader here. So now I start to think of, yeah, you got Russell Wilson to try to make it through the season, but how long till the cat calls come in? Because that schedule is outrageous for the Giants. Like, when do we see Jackson Dart for the New York Giants this year, Joe?
It's all going to depend on Russell Wilson. And to his credit, this could be a good fit for both of them because it's clear that Jackson Dart has pushed Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson might have come into this camp thinking, all right, I got a rookie I got to beat out here. And oh, wait a minute. That's right. Coach Dable said that I don't have to worry about the rookie because he's not playing. I'm the starter. But yet then you saw this kid go out in the field and all of a sudden Russ has got to be like, all right, wait a minute here. I better level this up here because if not, you know what the New York fan base is going to be screaming for. And listen, Dable, for many, a lot of indications on a hot seat. So as tough as that schedule is, you can mitigate some of that with the fans, especially if you win a couple of games you're not supposed to, and you let them see Jackson Dart in action. So this all depends on how Russ looks early in the season as to when we get Jackson Dart involved.
Again, that is a skull-crushing schedule for the New York Giants. Like, remember, like, if we equate it to college football, didn't we enter last year, like, the Florida Gators schedules? Like, why even show up for the season? Like, you're just asking to fire your head coach because you play, like, the number 5 team every single week. Good luck with that. That feels like with what we're seeing at the New York Giants this year. And if we look at the NFC East winner in the odds market here, the odds do reflect how tough that schedule is going to be for the Giants. The Eagles are the favorites at a minus 135 price. The Commanders at a plus 220. Then the Cowboys at a plus 550 as we wait for Micah Parsons. And then they're the Giants at a plus 2,200 here. Not expected to do a lot of damage. And I'm telling you, if they get 6 wins this year on that schedule, then you never know. Like, we always just try to say, okay, wins, losses on the schedule. Some of the teams that they play that we thought would be really good might be really injured when they get there, and the Giants are not. So you don't know. But I got to tell you, like, 6 wins feels like a Herculean effort for the Giants this year with that schedule.
Well, that would be double what they had last year. So, I mean, that is an improvement. But I think they might shock a few people here, Donnie. I think that defense completely revamped over there and has shown in the preseason already. Yeah, they've been pretty stingy here. I think that defense can keep them in some games and give them an opportunity to win some that, A, they have no business probably being in on that schedule, but B, probably stay within a lot of numbers from an ATS perspective this year. I think this team's going to be a lot more competitive than they were a year ago.
Yeah, they should be. You're right, because that defense should be better. It's almost like, boy, if you played in like the NFC South, you would be like, hey, man, maybe the Giants can make a run and win this division. But you're playing in such a tough division with such a tough schedule for the scheduled draws that the NFC East got this year that you can't really measure success for the Giants this year, to me, in wins and losses. Again, unless they win 2 games at that point. But if they're going to win 5, 6, or 7 games, that's a plus. And maybe Jackson Dart is a big reason for that, where he came in late in the season, picked up a couple wins in December to give you that sort of, okay, you know what? We might have found our franchise guy. He could be the real deal at this point. But as you see those odds at a 22-1 to win the division, those are certainly long shots. If we flip it over, look at the Patriots' perspective. This is one of those really intriguing teams, Joe. Spent a lot of money in the offseason on free agency. The defense looks like it got shored up real quick. Vrabel's in town. You want Drake May to take that next step. He's got some weapons on offense. Stephon Diggs, at least a veteran wide receiver to throw to, and a decent running game. I look at that odds market and say, boy, the Patriots at a plus 550 price. If the Bills were to stumble, are the Patriots that team can certainly make up ground and say, you know what? We're a pretty good football team this year. They're a tough team to wrap my head around because I like what I see, but now I just need to see the results.
Yeah, the problem is, again, they are, listen, from a X's and O's perspective, a toughness, a discipline perspective, the Patriots are going to be a million times better. But they still have a very young quarterback now with his second coach and offensive coordinator. And that offensive line, a lot of question marks, Donnie, especially even now. We still have some injury concerns. It is not the same old tough offensive line of the Patriots that Brady had. That could be a big problem for this team. I mean, listen, they're not going to be committing the dumb penalties. They're not going to be shooting themselves in the foot, which is great. But that offensive line and a young quarterback doesn't spell like we're going to have instant success and win 8 or 9 games here. So I think the market's a little too high on the Patriots.
Yeah, because again, it's hard to say like May is going to be that good. The wide receivers are going to work out, and everything's going to work in year number 1 of a head coach. We'll see, and there is some talent to do that. We also saw last year a horrible New England Patriots team go on the road, I believe week 1, and knock off the Cincinnati Bengals, which was kind of wild, which brings me to the schedule here coming up for the New England Patriots in week number 1. The Raiders are at home. You are supposed to win that football game. Now, understanding, some squirrely things always happen in week number 1, and the Raiders do have some talent. They have a veteran quarterback. It's not AOC at quarterback anymore. And you say, you know what? Maybe they can pull the upset. But it almost feels like, Joe, as you said, like a referendum game right off the bat for the Patriots. You're supposed to win this game. They lose this one, and I'm back up in the air like, well, what do the Patriots actually have? And we're only talking about one game. It just feels like they matched them up with the Raiders where you are supposed to win this game. Can they win this game?
Well, that's going to be the question, right? So we get Pete Carroll versus Vrabel here. I think that is going to set the tone for what we get. But that following week in Miami in September in 100 degrees, that might be an interesting game as well to keep an eye on.
Exactly. Then they play the Steelers after that and the Carolina Panthers at home, and away they go into their season. But I'm interested to see how they perform against those Vegas Raiders on opening night. You know, it's not struggling right now. That Philadelphia Freedom offense on the Philadelphia Phillies. Boy, they put it on the Mariners. We'll talk about that series next.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Bengals are listening to trade offers for perennial Pro Bowler Trey Hendrickson, per me, and Tom Pelissero. It's unclear if the NFL sack leader will be playing elsewhere in 2025, and a trade will be a real challenge, but time will tell. You know it's not a real challenge? In the offseason, when he doesn't want to be here and you're trying to make a trade for him. Most people that say, okay, I have to sell a house or sell a car, let me put it out on the market, and I'll take the best deal that's available.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
They're saying that he might be back for the start of the playoffs, but their playoff spot isn't secure with the Mariners bearing down on them and the wild card completely in flux. So this is like borderline red alert because the pitching staff has not been good. We have not seen good stuff from Framber Valdez. So now that the back end of the bullpen is not good, I don't know what to make of it.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
I don't know what they have in the water in Philadelphia, Joe Ranier, but maybe it's just the water ice that the people are eating down there in South Philadelphia. Maybe it's the pretzels, maybe it's the cheesesteaks, Maybe it's Wit Whiz or Knott's, or maybe it's just some provolone cheese. Maybe it's a cheesesteak hoagie. You know your boy likes a good cheesesteak hoagie. But whatever it is they're feeding the Philadelphia Phillies, they are eating, Joe. 11-2 yesterday over the Mariners. 20 more hits for the Phillies. They absolutely slayed the Mariners. The Mariners probably just got to get back to the Pacific Northwest. Mets handled their business against them. Now the Phillies clean their clock, and they get sent away at 68-60 on the season. The red-hot Philadelphia Phillies at the plate. I hope they ain't peaking too early, Joe, as we talk about, because that October surge that you need is hitting the Phillies right now at the plate.
Well, we've talked about it over the last couple of weeks, Donnie. We had said that, listen, we need to see a little more consistency from this very veteran-laden lineup. There is no reason for them to have been as inconsistent as they have been, but we have also seen this from the Phillies prior, right? All of a sudden now you start getting Trey Turner and Kyle Schwarber and Harper and company now, Castellano. All of a sudden, these guys all starting to come together with about 5-6 weeks left in a regular season. That's who the Phillies are. That's who they've always have been. They usually kick it up a notch right about now, and they ride that into the postseason. So those bats, we know what they're capable of doing, but we also know, Donnie, that they're going to have to score and hit a lot here, because I am still not crazy about that front end of the rotation now with the injuries. Nola it's going to take him a while to get back up. They're going to have to score and hit 20, get 20 hits a game and score, 8-9 runs if they're going to roll this thing right through to October.
Wheeler goes down. No big deal, Joe. Look at the three starters in this Mariners campaign for the Philadelphia Phillies. Ranger Suarez, 10 Ks. Christopher Sanchez, 12 Ks. Jesus Luzardo, 12 Ks yesterday. Boy, they had the Mariners swinging and missing this entire week here in a sweep of the Mariners. If they get that out of town, the Phillies certainly staying hot at this point right now. So I like what I see out of the Phillies starters. That sometimes we talk about, Joe, like the coaching bump, where it's like, hey, just fired the coach. We're not a great team. Oh, look at that. They just won 5 straight games. It feels like that Phillies pitching staff, at least for the time being, is like, hey, we got to come together and hold it down for Zach Wheeler's going to be out maybe for months, maybe not coming back. And they did that this week against the M's.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. When you look at some of these numbers here on what they did, 29 runs, 48 hits, and a 3-game sweep of Seattle at home, that is unbelievable. But again, you don't have to have great pitching if that's what the offense is going to do. And they did it consistently. So could the Phillies be heating up at exactly the right time, Donnie?
Absolutely. And by the way, take a look at the NL pennant odds to win it all here. The Dodgers at a plus 185, the Brewers at a 4-1 price, and there's the Phillies at a plus 370, creeping up higher and higher. Padres, Cubs, and Mets behind them. But the Phillies certainly, with some of the Dodgers' struggles here, playing good baseball, but then you're still trying to weigh in when we get to the playoffs. As Zach Wheeler isn't there, it's a lot to be decided here, Joe, over the final month and a half.
Ton to be decided here. And, of course, I know we've all stuck a fork in the Mets, and rightly so. But, here they are still sitting with 67 wins on the season. It's a 2-horse race in the National League East. But if Philadelphia keeps hitting like this, they will wrap up this division in plenty enough time to get ready for the postseason. That's for sure.
No doubt about it. Good. Getting ready for the postseason. That's the Los Angeles Dodgers. You don't expect them to lose any games in Colorado, specifically when Shohei Ohtani is going to take them out going up against Tanner Gordon. 8-3 final. Oh, yeah, Dodgers pacing them 8-3. No, they didn't. The Rockies won that game 8-3, and Shohei Ohtani, you see the statistics there, 4 innings pitched, 9 hits, 5 earned runs. Nobody can escape in Colorado, apparently. See that? Now, see, this is a rule for kids out here. Go, you know what? If I get drafted number 1 overall into the Colorado Rockies, I'll be a really good pitcher there. Hint, nobody can ever be a really good pitcher there. Case in point, Ohtani's like, man, it's not supposed to be this hard, is it?
To add insult to injury, Donnie, Ohtani goes out there, gives up 5 earned runs in 4 innings. He's allowed 9 hits, which is, I believe, ties a career high for him and the amount of hits he's given up in an appearance. And to make matters worse, he gets lit up by a line drive back at him, gets hit in the thigh with a 93-mile-per-hour line drive off the bat of one of the Colorado players in the 4th inning. He's got to leave the game, but the damage at that point was already done. And you and I laughed at the Colorado pitcher last night, Gordon, with his, 30 ERA that he's had over the last month. And what does he do? He goes 6 innings and gives up 1 hit. Like, what in the world were you doing, Dodgers?
You were just waiting for the Dodgers to break through, and they never broke through last night. It's crazy. That game's, imagine this too, Joe. Hey, before the game, I'm going to give you a little hint. This game's going to have 8 runs scored by the Rockies. Like, what's that total? 12, 11 and a half? Yeah, that's going to be the easiest over you have ever seen. Not the case, people, and that's what we say. That's baseball. You know what else is baseball? The Yankees hitting home runs in Tampa. They started the game off. They did have 3 home runs, but they were spread out over the first 8 innings, all solo shots. Then things got crazy. The bottom of the ninth, double, which led us to extras, and then 4 total runs in the 10th inning, which is 6-4 win for the Yankees, which goes over the total. Make it 5 in a row for the Bronx Bombers, Joe.
Yeah, and I believe they tied a Major League Baseball record for the most home runs in a 2-game series here with 14, 9 the night prior, 5 yesterday. So listen, when we all knew what they were capable of doing when they're all on the same page, like the Phillies hitting, this is very, very reminiscent of years past that we've seen with the Yankee bats. The Bronx Bombers are called that for a reason, and boy, oh boy, it doesn't matter, though, if you come back this weekend and get swept by the Red Sox, though, does it?
Absolutely. Look at that. I mean, you were talking about these teams struggling, some of these teams hitting the gas pedal. How about those New York Mets? They ain't hitting the gas pedal. Lost yesterday to the Washington Nationals. Brad Lord's a decent pitcher. He actually gave up 4 earned runs, but Senga, who has been struggling over the past 45 days with those xFIP analytical numbers, he wasn't very good at all yesterday. 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. They go down to the Nationals. Oh, no, Mets. That's another game behind the Philadelphia Phillies. You go.
Yeah, and not good injury news, too. Nimmo had to be pulled from that game with neck stiffness as well, so he was scratched early in there. So just not a great night for the New York Mets, who might just have to settle for the wild card spot.
Oh, boy, Mets. Don't leave it up to the Philadelphia Phillies. But again, just get hot. There's plenty of time in the regular season. Polar Bear Pete, where you at, kid? Start smoking some home runs over that fence, and we'll see what happens. You know what's going to happen next? The Sox in the Bronx. What a series this is setting up. Red Sox, Yankees. Let's get to it next on the early line.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Bengals are listening to trade offers for perennial Pro Bowler Trey Hendrickson, per me, and Tom Pelissero. It's unclear if the NFL sack leader will be playing elsewhere in 2025, and a trade will be a real challenge, but time will tell. You know what's not a real challenge? In the offseason, when he doesn't want to be here and you're trying to make a trade for him. Most people that say, okay, I have to sell a house or sell a car, let me put it out on the market, and I'll take the best deal that's available.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
They're saying that he might be back for the start of the playoffs, but their playoff spot isn't secure with the Mariners bearing down on them and the wild card completely in flux. So this is like borderline red alert because the pitching staff has not been good. We have not seen good stuff from Framber Valdez. So now that the back end of the bullpen is not good, I don't know what to make of it.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Sox in the Bronx. And what a series that we're going to have up on deck this weekend, because if we take a look, Joe Ranieri, and set the table for this, the Toronto Blue Jays are in first place in the AL East, up by 4 games over the Yankees and 5.5 games over the Boston Red Sox, which means in layman terms, the New York Yankees have jumped back over the Boston Red Sox. How do you do that? That's impossible. I'll tell you how. One team, the Red Sox, loses 3 games in a row. One team, the Yankees, win 5 games in a row. And now these two teams play each other. Can the Yankees extend their lead over the Boston Red Sox? Time will tell. But this is the perfect series for the Yankees coming up, playing great baseball, hitting home.
And that's what we've kind of missed over the last couple of seasons, right? It's over the last couple of years, Donnie, the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry kind of lost its luster there because the Red Sox were struggling. We weren't playing meaningful games. Red Sox weren't playing meaningful games this time of year over the last couple of seasons in the rebuild. And yet, well, here we are in a game that in a series at the middle to end of August. That's going to mean a lot. So, baseball is always better off when the Yankees and the Red Sox are relevant towards this time of year.
Oh, no doubt about it. You take a look at Lucas Giolito's statistics on the season, 8-2 overall, 3.63 ERA, 87 strikeouts. You look at Lewis Heel on the mound, 1-1 so far. Again, coming off of that injury, just getting back into the rotation, 5.14 ERA and only 14 Ks on the year. Once again, limited starts as opposed to Giolito, much more starts. If you look at the analytical markets here, Joe, over the past 45 days, Lucas Giolito, 470 xFIP number, and then Luis Heel is sitting at a 424. So might we get some runs? We'll find out. But also, it's cooler, Joe, in the Northeast this week. That's hurricane rumbling up the coast, not really affecting us weather-wise per se, where it's going to be a hurricane in New Jersey and in New York. But there are windy conditions, but also more importantly, cooler temperatures with a wind blowing in. Typically, we talk about, Joe, August the 21st in the Bronx. Hey, what's it, 92 degrees maybe at first pitch at this point? It's cooler temperatures tonight to get this series started off, so something certainly to keep an eye on. But if we are keeping an eye on, again, the betting race in the AL East. We told you the standings here. Blue Jays, Yankees, Red Sox, Rays, and Orioles. But the betting markets have the Jays here at a minus 340 price, being in first place to hold on and win that division. Then we have the Yankees at a plus 330, but the Red Sox at a 12-1. Now, they're only a game and a half back of the Yankees here, not playing great baseball right now, but that is a big price difference between the Yankees and the Red Sox, Joe.
It is a huge difference. And keep in mind, too, as I'm watching the board get lit up here in real time, Donnie, that there is a serious pros versus Joes line movement in this game tonight on the total. On the total, though, because this opened up 8.5 overnight, and I am seeing a huge amount of volume of tickets on the over by the public, and yet I'm now seeing 7.5s popping up in the marketplace, Donnie, which tells me we got the public expecting home runs, and boy, oh boy, the guys moving the market are thinking we are going to get some unders here tonight in those chilly temperatures and the wind blowing in. But I think this series is going to go a long way in deciding whether or not you think there's value on that future price for the Red Sox to take over the Yankees at some point here. This is a big series for these two teams heading into the weekend.
It is, and you brought up some very good points because a lot of the times the public is going to weigh into. And the key notion is always you're only as good as the starting pitcher on the mound the next day, but also, did you have to travel the night before? Are the temperatures in the ballpark that you're playing at differently here? Now, you might say, like, well, Donnie, George Steinbrenner Field is the same exact dimensions of, Tampa between the Bronx, New York, and Yankee Stadium. You would be correct. But you're not bringing 88-degree temperatures, super muggy conditions down there, and no outfield seats, which means that the wind is blowing out in Tampa. It's really blowing out. That's not the case in the Bronx. Now, the wind is blowing in tonight, but we'll see if things change. But most people look at those Yankees lineups and what they did the past couple nights. It has to continue. It doesn't happen. By the way, did you see Atlanta and the Chicago White Sox last night? What did we get, 20 runs the night before? 1-0 last night? And we didn't even have great pitchers, per se, on the mound. They're name-brand pitchers on the mound as things change up. But that's some good stats Joe's bringing along. Public's loving the over. The Sharps are saying, not so fast. Drop that number down because an 8.5 to a 7.5 is a really big jump here. World Series odds, by the way, Joe, Dodgers still the favorites, plus 330. Doesn't matter if Ohtani's getting blown up or they're losing in Colorado. Followed by the Brewers, Phillies, Tigers, Blue Jays, and those Yankees at a 10-1 price. Same price as the Jays. How about that?
There is literally value all over that board except with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And again, Donnie, when's the last time we got a back-to-back World Series champion?
Yeah. I don't know. Was it the Phillies? I'm going to say Phillies, even though it wasn't the Phillies. How about that? That's my answer. Hour number 2, people coming up next on the early lines. Get right here on the grid, baby.